The Samsung Galaxy camera is interesting because it had such great software. But let's be real. The camera that you're going to use the most often is in your pocket and it's on your smartphone. So with that in mind, the Samsung Galaxy S4 has a great 13 megapixel camera and some of the great software found in the Galaxy camera. How does it work? Let's take a look. The Galaxy S4 has a variety of shooting modes, and I mean a variety. There's 13 in all. You have Beauty Face, which is good for portraits. It's going to try to enhance your facial features, remove blemishes, things like that. There's Best Photo, where you hold the camera button down and it takes a series of photos and you choose which one was best. Then there's Best Face. So let's say you and a group of people are taking photos, but in one image, one guy blinked. In another image, a girl was looking away from the screen. It takes the best face from each person in that photo and then forms one solid picture. It's very good. Then sound and shot is something that allows you to take a picture and then it's going to bring the audio in at a later time. It's kind of gimmicky. It records about 10 seconds of audio. So if you take a picture of somewhere and say, "Hey, look at what's going on. This is the sights and sound of Paris," or something like that. Then there's drama, which is kind of cool because drama takes multiple photos. So if you're doing running, like an action shot where you're going to shoot a basket or jump off a building or something like that, or even if you're just walking down the street, you can take 4 images and then they'll be put into one. Now you've got animated photos, which is like cinemagraphs, where only one section of the image is animated. So you can have like you dropping a pillow and then that'll show it, but the rest of your body is still. Rich tone HDR is really cool because it takes a low, a high, and then it mixes them, and you get a better picture, a little more vibrancy to your images. It's like HDR photos. Eraser is cool because if you get photobombed, it'll erase somebody out of the background. Panorama, of course, is good for landscapes. You can take wide images. You can also take 360 in terms of linear, where you go in a complete circle and then it stitches everything to one image. It's pretty big. Sports is, of course, for action photos. It's good for reducing motion. Then you have night, which lets in a little more light when you take low light without having to rely on the flash. The results aren't as good as what you see on the Lumia 920, but it's still okay. It's pretty good. And then you have auto, which is pretty much going to recognize everything for you. Now, there's a lot of shooting modes that I just went through. So let's look at some of the actual features that you can control aside from the shooting modes. So here I have my little mini studio, and I'm going to take a picture with the Galaxy S4. But the first thing I want to do before anything is learn the interface. So here you see I can go, if I want to switch to video mode, I can tap video. And right now it's recording this video. I can stop it, I can pause it, or I can take a picture while I'm doing the video. So I have all these pictures saved. So I can kill two birds with one stone, just like that. Now I stop it. And of course, if I want to change the settings, so let's say right now there's too much exposure, I want to change that, I can tap the settings button and and now I can adjust the exposure so it's at -1. I could drop it all the way down or I can bring it up. Let's say I want to change the shortcuts that I have an option to. Press menu, edit quick settings, and instead of exposure I'll say, you know what, I want to change the white balance. So I drag white balance and replace it over there, and I drag voice control and replace anti-shake. And then now I have a new list of quick settings. Now I mentioned voice control, and that's pretty cool because this allows me to take a picture just by saying cheese. See, and that's pretty cool. Let's say you're taking a self-portrait, cheese. All right, and you can see it took that. So that's a cool feature that you can have. Now, in terms of this camera right here, this is how you switch between front-facing and rear camera. Hello, everybody. But let's say you want to do both. You want front-facing and rear at the same time. There's a feature called dual camera that you can access right here. This allows you to use the camera and superimpose yourself on it. You can move it around. You can change it. Now, the problem I have with this is that sometimes it's hard to angle it so where you're in the photo as well as the subject, and sometimes it just seems overdone. The only time this came in handy for me is when I was making funny faces at my niece and wanted to do a video where I showed the faces that I made as well as her reactions. And the cool thing about this is you can actually switch when you're doing this mode. So if I want the front facing camera to be the dominant one, and now I have the rear camera here, and I drag that and make that a little more prominent, and we can just play around with that. That's dual camera, which is pretty cool. You can turn that on and off just by tapping the dual camera button right there. Now, as far as the settings, when I go back, once again, let me show you the things that you can change. You can have your photo size be different. You can have burst shot, which basically takes a lot of photos within seconds of each other, less than seconds. Face detection, which helps with focuses on people's facing. You have metering, which is another tool for focus. Then you have ISO, which kind of helps control the light, the amount of light that comes in. And of course, anti-shake and auto night detection are pretty much self-explanatory. On the video side, you can change the size and you can turn off stabilization. When you have stabilization on, if you shake too much, the jitteriness, there's a little like waviness around the edges where the camera tries to settle itself, but it can work sometimes for people. You can also adjust the white balance. You can have the volume key actually be your zoom. So if I turn left or right, it'll zoom in or zoom out depending on how you see. Let me see. When I press it, you see it zooms in. You can also do that by pinch to zoom if you want to zoom in on your subject. But this is a digital zoom lens, and digital zoom is typically crap, so avoid it whenever possible. And when you tap the button right here, you can switch between the different forms. You can have buddy share, which allows you to pair with another Samsung device and share your photos. You can have share shot, where if everyone has a Galaxy S and you're all within like a close range, all the photos I take will appear on your photo. All the photos you take will appear on my phone. Now, remote viewfinder is another cool thing because you can connect this to a Wi-Fi direct device. As for the camera quality, I'm kind of pleased with what the Galaxy S4 has to offer. There are some times where I thought it was struggling to focus in low light, especially in video. It does a pretty good job when you're recording video outdoors for sure. Even when you're indoors, it does a kind of good job. It's not as clear as some other devices on the market. And the auto settings sometimes let in a little too much light. But the great thing about the Galaxy S4 is that it has those controls. Right now you're seeing some of the samples of photos that I've taken. Be sure to click the videos and look around and see some of the video samples. But overall, I think the Galaxy S4 camera is good. Having a 13 megapixel lens doesn't make some huge improvements, so don't fall into the trap of megapixels being bigger meaning better. It's just a good, solid phone that takes solid photos. So it's reliable, it's very customizable, and it has a lot of great software you can play around with and get the photos just the way you like. So this is Andrew from mobileburn.com taking a look at the Samsung Galaxy S4 camera. Thanks for watching and hope you enjoyed the video. Cheese!